an attack returning from Midway kept Nagumo from launching an immediate strike on American carriers. The task force's fuel situation did not permit him to remain in waters north of Pearl Harbor much longer, since he was at the very limit of logistical support. To do so risked running unacceptably low on fuel, perhaps even having to abandon destroyers en route home. 130. He believed the second strike had essentially accomplished the mission's main objective, neutralizing the U.S. Pacific Fleet, and did not wish to risk further losses. 131. Moreover, it was IJN practice to prefer the conservation of strength over the total destruction of the enemy. 132. Although a hypothetical third strike would have likely focused on the base's remaining warships, 133, military historians have suggested any potential damage to the shore facilities would have hampered the U.S. Pacific Fleet far more seriously. 62, 63, if they had been wiped out, serious American operations in the Pacific would have been postponed for more than a year. Winking sad smiley. 134, according to Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, later Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, it would have prolonged the war another 2 years. 135. At a conference aboard his flagship the following morning, Yamamoto supported Nagumo's withdrawal without launching a third wave. 131. In retrospect, sparing the vital dockyards, maintenance shops, and fuel tank farm meant the U.S. could respond relatively quickly to Japanese activities in the Pacific. Yamamoto later regretted Nagumo's decision to withdraw and categorically stated it had been a great mistake not to order a third strike. 136. Ships lost or damaged. 21 American ships were damaged or lost in the attack, of which all but 3 were repaired and returned to service. 137. Battleships. Arizona, Rear Admiral Isaac C. Kidd's flagship of Battleship Division 1 hit by 4 armor-piercing bombs, exploded. Total loss, not salvaged, 1,177 dead. Oklahoma, hit by 5 torpedoes, capsized. Total loss, salvaged, sunk en route to scrapping May 1947. 429 dead. West Virginia, hit by 2 bombs, 7 torpedoes, sunk, returned to service July 1944. 106 dead. California, hit by 2 bombs, 2 torpedoes, sunk, returned to service January 1944. 104 dead. 138. Nevada, hit by 6 bombs, 1 torpedo, beached, returned to service October 1942. 60 dead. Pennsylvania, Admiral Husband E. Kimmel's flagship of the United States Pacific Fleet, 139, in dry dock with Cassin and Downs, hit by 1 bomb and debris from USS Cassin, remained in service. 9 dead. Tennessee, hit by 2 bombs, returned to service February 1942. 5 dead. Maryland, hit by 2 bombs, returned to service February 1942. 4 dead, including float plane epaulets shot down. Ex-battleship, target /AA training ship. Utah, hit by 2 torpedoes, capsized, total loss, salvage stopped. 64 dead. Cruisers. Helena, hit by 1 torpedo, returned to service January 1942. 20 dead. Raleigh, hit by 1 torpedo, returned to service February 1942. Honolulu, near miss, light damage, remained in service. Destroyers. Cassin, in dry dock with Downs and Pennsylvania, hit by 1 bomb, burned, reconstructed and returned to service February 1944. Downs, in dry dock with Cassin and Pennsylvania, caught fire from Cassin, burned, reconstructed and returned to service November 1943. Helm, underway to West Lock, damaged by 2 near-miss bombs. Winkinsat Smiley 140, continued patrol, dry docked the 15th of January 1942, and sailed the 20th of January 1942. Shaw, hit by 3 bombs, returned to service June 1942. Auxiliaries. Oglala, mine layer damaged by torpedo hit on Helena, capsized, returned to service, Ace-engine repair ship, February 1944. Vestal, repair ship hit by 2 bombs, blast and fire from Arizona, beached, returned to service by August 1942. Curtis, seaplane tender hit by 1 bomb, 1 crashed Japanese aircraft, returned to service January 1942. 19 dead. Satoyo, harbor tug damaged by explosion and fires inshore, sunk, returned to service August 1942. YFD-2, yard floating dock damaged by bombs, sunk, returned to service the 25th of January 1942. Service inshore. Captain Homer N. Wallin, Center, supervises salvage operations aboard USS California, early 1942. Salvage. After a systematic search for survivors, Captain Homer N. Wallin was ordered to lead a formal salvage operation. 141, NB-20, around Pearl Harbor. Divers from the Navy, shore and tenders, the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard, and civilian contractors, Pacific Bridge Company and others, began work on the ships that could be refloated. They patched holes, cleared debris, and pumped water out of ships. Navy divers worked inside the damaged ships. Within 6 months, 5 battleships and 2 cruisers were patched or floated so they could be sent to shipyards in Pearl Harbor and on the mainland for extensive repair. 143, intensive salvage operations continued for another year, a total of some 20,000 man-hours underwater. 144, Arizona and the target ship Utah were too heavily damaged for salvage and remain where they were sunk. 145, with Arizona becoming a war memorial. Oklahoma, while successfully raised, was never repaired and capsized while under tow to the mainland in 1947. The Nevada proved particularly difficult to raise and repair. 2 men involved in the operation died after inhaling poisonous gases that had accumulated in the ship's interior. 143, when feasible, armament and equipment were removed from vessels too damaged to repair and put to use aboard other craft. News coverage. The initial announcement of the attack on Pearl Harbor was made by the White House Press Secretary Stephen Early, at 2:22 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:52 a.m. Hawaiian Time. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor from the air and all naval and military activities on the island of Oahu, principal American base in the Hawaiian Islands. 146, as information developed, Early made a number of additional announcements to approximately 150 White House reporters over the course of the afternoon. 147, initial reports of the attack moved on news wires at approximately 2:25 p.m. Eastern Time. The first radio coverage, which, at the time, represented the earliest opportunity for ordinary people to learn of the attack, was on the CBS radio network's scheduled news program, World News Today, at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. John Charles Daly read the initial report, then switched to London, where Robert Trout had lived on the Pennsylvania, behind the wreckage of Downs and Cassin. Possible London reaction. The first report on NBC cut into a play, a dramatization of the Inspector General, at 2:33 p.m. Eastern Time and lasted only 21 seconds. Unlike the later practice with major news stories, there were only brief interruptions of scheduled commercial programming. 148. A contemporaneous newspaper report compared the attack to the Battle of Port Arthur, in which the Imperial Japanese Navy attacked Imperial Russian Navy, triggering the Russo-Japanese War, 37 years prior. 149. Modern writers have continued to note parallels between the attacks, albeit more dispassionately. 150. Aftermath. The day after the attack, Roosevelt delivered his famous Day of Infamy speech to a joint session of Congress, calling for a formal declaration of war on the Empire of Japan. Congress obliged his request less than an hour later. On the 11th of December, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States, even though the Tripartite Pact did not require it. NB 21. Congress issued a declaration of war against Germany and Italy later that same day. The United Kingdom had already been at war with Germany since September 1939 and with Italy since June 1940, and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill had promised to declare war within the hour of a Japanese attack on the United States. 154. Upon learning of the Japanese attacks on Malaya, Singapore and Hong Kong, Churchill promptly determined there was no need to either wait or further consult the US government and immediately summoned the Japanese ambassador. As a result, the UK declared war on Japan 9 hours before the US did. The attack was an initial shock to all the Allies in the Pacific theater. Further losses compounded the looming setback. Japan attacked the Philippines hours later. Because of the time difference, it was December 8 in the Philippines. Only 3 days after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the battleship Prince of Wales and battlecruiser Repulse were sunk off the coast of Malaya, causing Churchill later to recollect, "In all the war I never received a more direct shock. As I turned and twisted in bed, the full horror of the news came upon me. There were no British or American capital ships in the Indian Ocean or the Pacific except American survivors of Pearl Harbor who were hastening back to California. Over this vast expanse of waters, Japan was supreme and we everywhere were weak and naked." 155. Throughout the war, Pearl Harbor was frequently used in American propaganda. 156. One further consequence of the attack on Pearl Harbor and its aftermath, notably the Niihau incident, was that Japanese-American residents and citizens were relocated to nearby Japanese-American internment camps. Within hours of the attack, hundreds of Japanese-American leaders were rounded up and taken to high-security camps such as Sand Island at the mouth of Honolulu Harbor and Kalaua Military Camp on the island of Hawaii. 157, 158. Eventually, more than 110,000 Japanese Americans, nearly all who lived on the west coast, were forced into interior camps. But in Hawaii, where the 150,000 plus Japanese Americans composed over one-third of the population, only 1,200 to 1,800 were interned. 159. 160, 161. The attack also had international consequences. The Canadian province of British Columbia, bordering the Pacific Ocean, had long had a large population of Japanese immigrants and their Japanese Canadian descendants. Pre-war tensions were exacerbated by the Pearl Harbor attack, leading to a reaction from the Government of Canada. On the 24th of February, 1942, Order in Council PC No. 1486 was passed under the war. poster by Alan Seilberg issued in 1942 by the United States Office of War Information Measures Act, allowing for the forced removal of any and all Canadians of Japanese descent from British Columbia, as well as prohibiting them from returning to the province. On March 4, regulations under the Act were adopted to evacuate Japanese Canadians. 162. As a result, 12,000 were interned in interior camps. 20